It began the first time we raised our eyes to the heavens, and what we saw there amazed and intrigued us, this phenomenon of flight. It was something we would strive to duplicate, to take to the sky like the ageless eagle, to be weightless, without gravity, to fly. Here in America, the enthusiasm begun by Orville and Wilbur Wright moved south and took root here in Atlanta like nothing Dixie had ever seen. In 1920, a circular track of muddy Georgia clay was graded down to make the city's first airstrip. City Councilman William B. Hartsfield bought the 287-acre Candler Speedway for a little more than $94,000, perhaps the largest land buy yet in the city's history. That same year, a man named Pitcairn built Atlanta's first airline hangar on the property and opened up for business. Pitcairn Aviation flew open-mouthed Atlantans over the city for about $5, a death-defying trip indeed. In 1927, the Candler Speedway officially became the Atlanta Airport, and a year later, the first commercial mail run was made to New York. Pilot Gene Brown flew his Curtiss Jenny all the way to New York City, making history for Pitcairn and shaping the future for the Southern aviation movement. By 1929, Candler Field had grown to a 3-hangar operation. A $4,000 light tower was added to guide the mail planes in. Similar towers were erected every 20 miles, lighting the way to the Big Apple. 1930 brought the airport's first administration building. Pitcairn Aviation became Eastern Air Transport, with 20 employees and Atlanta's first commercial passenger flight to New York. It was an 8-hour trip with 9 stops. Lunch was served in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me.
Airline stewardesses were introduced about this time. These lovely ladies flew Curtiss Condors, but no coffee, tea, or me girls these. Stewardesses had to be registered nurses, a regulation that lasted until 1934 when male stewards came on the scene. These boys in blue carried chicken salad box lunches for passengers until 1942, when they exchanged the cardboard boxes for Army rifles and combat greens. The Second World War took male stewards out of the planes and put them into battle, bringing women back into airline service. By 1948, Atlanta's airline industry had expanded and grown to such a degree that it became obvious more room was really needed. Some 545,000 airline passengers had flown through this airport alone in just 1 year's time. And it became even more obvious that if Atlanta was going to retain its aviation business, it also had to expand its facilities. This building behind me here was the solution. The temporary solution was an abandoned World War II Army barracks, a Quonset hut that was purchased for about $180,000, then renovated and expanded into an airline terminal, complete with ticket counters and wall murals. During this period, airport manager Jack Gray was developing a dream, so he began to sketch plans for a new terminal, and construction began in 1959. 2 years and $18 million later, Atlanta's Hartsfield Airport was completed, a terminal that would become the second busiest in the entire world, that would see jet travel increase more than 60%, that would handle more than 16 million passengers a year. We've come a long way from that muddy field of the 1920s, and 60 years later, we now face the future with yet another airport, a new terminal, new passengers, a new face for Atlanta's aviation picture. But one thing has not changed. Those of us not yet jaded by all this space-age technology still raise our eyes to the heavens and feel that sense of wonder. That at least is still there, and hopefully always will be. Tracy Lyons, 11 Alive News.
How would you like to be the first passenger to take off from the world's largest airline terminal? How would you like a private tour before you leave? Well, you'd probably have to be president first, because those honors were reserved today for Jimmy Carter. He had to be quick, though, only time enough for a few glimpses of Concourse B. This one was picked to avoid a hint of favoritism. It is shared by Eastern and Delta. Nobody worried about whose people mover the president would ride. There's only one system. It worked fine, whisking Mr. Carter to the main terminal, where he was welcomed by some 1,400 Democratic supporters, politicians, and airport workers.
I don't know if you know where I learned patience and restraint and tenacity. It was in the old airport. And I don't know if you all know where I learned how to jog. It was in the airport.
Mr. Carter called the new $450 million airport a symbol of the New South and of renewed productivity. An example, he said, of how America can rebuild its economy while offering equal opportunity for all. He made direct reference to the large role performed by minority contractors.
Mayor Hartsfield, many years ago, made a famous statement that Atlanta was a city too busy to hate. That was a time when there was indeed a lot of hatred. And it was a remark that swept through the South and made possible many of the achievements that have led to this great day.
It was a great day for Atlanta and for Hartsfield Airport. Mayor Jackson had hoped the president could hold off his visit until Thursday's official dedication. Instead, Carter will have to appear on a videotaped message recorded during today's visit. But the mayor is still upset that none of Carter's cabinet members will be here either. Paul Crawley, 11 Alive News, at the new Hartsfield International Airport.
And look what we have done with it. That's part of what we have planned for the celebration. First thing that's clear. Should the myths of cost overruns and poor product be invoked to attempt to justify the unjust exclusion of minorities from major projects like this one, we have proved that it can be done. Right and excellence can walk hand in hand. We now dedicate the new Hartsfield-Atlanta International Airport.
The ERA redevelopment study doesn't suggest that this terminal be transformed into another mall like Lenox Square or Shannon. Instead, the plans call for a factory outlet mall. Outlet stores are generally no-frills operations that offer high-quality merchandise at discount prices. And how much in total sales could such a mall expect to earn? Well, from area employees, $1.6 million in 1980, $2.2 million in sales by 1990. From connecting airline passengers, $1.6 million in 1980, $2.5 million by 1990. Overnight hotel guests will contribute an estimated $1.9 million this year, $2.5 million in 10 years. But most of the market support for the proposed mall will come from area residents, the study suggests. $16 million now, $19 million by 1990. The mall plan now awaits approval from the Atlanta City Council.
Well, as you know, the city, like any other government, moves rather slowly in things of this type, and I would guess that we will have to be convinced rather thoroughly that this is the highest and best use.
Any other ideas, proposals for it?
Yes, we've had several. One is an equipment exhibition area. The other is a training and seminar center. And this, though, I think is the first formal and only formal proposal we've had.
Thus far, do you think it's among the best proposals?
Yeah, I would think so.
It's still far too early to determine just how successful this airport mall proposal will prove to be. Commissioner Berry says he expects dozens of more proposals and ideas to come pouring into city government, but still the airport mall project is the first and best one to come off the drawing boards thus far. I'm told financing has already been secured. Reportedly, a group of German investors are ready to pour as much as $200 million into this old Hartsfield terminal to see that it becomes a retail factory outlet mall. Maynard Eaton, 11 Alive News at the old Hartsfield terminal.
I've been sent to wrong gates, wrong flight times, just almost anything you can imagine.
I talked to a guy down the street. He said, go this way. Now I'm going this way. We got 10 minutes to make it to the plane.
You gonna make it?
No, we've lost.
Just a few days ago, this airport facility was perhaps the busiest place in the city at this time of night. Now it almost seems like a deserted city. The silence is broken only by overhead planes and an occasional passing car. Inside the terminal, there's still millions of dollars worth of equipment and materials waiting to be shipped out. A brief message from departed ticket agents and several lonely security guards.
It's very boring now.
Lonely?
Lonely. Yeah, because see, I miss talking to people because I like to talk a lot. And I really do miss all the people. It's just, I'm not the type of person to be over here anyway. They need to put somebody that don't, like to talk too much. Because I love to talk.
There's nobody to talk to.
Me in the terminal. Maybe if I holler every once in a while, I get an echo.
About the only sign of life that remains here, the Lone Rangers, so to speak, is this budget rent-a-car office. But as soon as their new facilities are completed at the new Midfield terminal, they too will be packing up and moving out. Maynard Eaton, 11 Alive News at the old airport.
We decided to see how a trip carrying luggage to the airport would be on MARTA. We parked our car at the Lindbergh station in northeast Atlanta and started our trip here.
Parking is probably the trickiest part. If you plan to just be gone for one day, you'll need to put a token in the slot which is marked with your parking space number.
If you're staying more than one day, you can put the additional money in one of the marked envelopes. Getting into the MARTA station is a little clumsy with luggage. Try using the handicap gate. Once on the station platform, we started timing our trip. Only every other train goes to the airport, so be sure to read the sign on the front and side of the trains. Also look for this symbol on the outside. It means that there's a luggage compartment inside the train. Once on board, we discovered that we weren't the only people testing out MARTA's new route. Barbara Kilgo and her friends are using their lunch hour to ride the train to the airport.
If it's a hassle, if you can get out there and get back that quick.
A Delta employee who works at the airport is riding the train to his job for the first time. He thinks it might be better than driving his car.
Since Delta is so big and the airport parking for the employees is so far away, that leads to aggravation, especially when you're running just a little bit late. And so this will be just right. You'll be right in the building.
This part of MARTA's track has been a long time coming, and riders seem excited and a little confused when they arrive at the new station. On this afternoon, MARTA Supervisor Robert Scott is directing passenger traffic.
We're getting a lot of positive feedback also. I'm very proud to say that.
MARTA's airport station is connected to the Hartsfield terminal. Special turnstiles take luggage into account here, and of course, once inside the airport, signs make it clear which direction to head if you're catching or greeting a plane.
If you're carrying luggage, it is a bit of a hike from where you get off the MARTA train to the ticket counter. However, all in all, our trip from the MARTA Lindbergh station to here only took about 40 minutes.
Not included in our study, time spent in a ticket line at the airport.
Welcome is the watchword at Hartsfield Airport's new International Concourse E, no matter what language it's set in. And there's nothing like it in the U.S., or perhaps the world. First of all, it's huge, over 1.5 million square feet. That's as much floor space as all the other concourses combined. It can process 8,000 passengers an hour through its 24 gates, and needless to say, it wasn't cheap. The price tag was $305 million. There are plenty of shops to spend your money in. Don't have the right currency? No problem. This mobile exchange truck can change your rubles into bucks, and then you can get right on over to the Concourse E Burger King. Kind of a traditional welcome to America.
Your connecting gate's going to be located right here in your boarding card.
Friendly customer service, an efficient train system, and well-marked signs are all reasons why travelers give Atlanta Hartsfield high marks.
I think it's like #1 because a lot of the other airports I get to, I have to walk a really long ways to get to my gate.
Convenience is the name of the game for the 63 million passengers that pass through Atlanta each year. Just before the '96 Olympic Games, improvements were made here to the tune of $200 million.
Tampa passenger Atkins, please check.
The audio system was improved and more shops and restaurants opened.
The new restaurants have improved and the food's been a lot better and the choices have been a lot better.
The airport study finds travelers think the prices are reasonable here. But one problem folks have with the airport is parking.
Officials say they're working on more spaces which are needed.
We hope to improve the parking situation here at the airport because, you know, we will add a 5th runway to the airport, which will increase the capacity.
The capacity this year is already high. Atlanta may surpass O'Hare as the busiest airport in the U.S.
Now in its 21st year, the current Atlanta Airport Terminal's only major facelift was for the 1996 Olympics. But over the next decade, $5.4 billion will be spent to make it able to accommodate 121 million passengers a year. That's 1/3 more than it handles right now. Improvements will include everything from new underground trains to refurbished restrooms. But the lion's share of the money will be for airfield improvements. After all, only so many planes can take off and land at one time, contributing to Hartsfield's reputation as the busiest and most delay-plagued airport in the nation.
We are the biggest, the busiest, and the best. And in order to maintain that position, this expansion as well as future expansions are certainly going to be necessary.
Hundreds of Southside residents turned out at hearings this winter to oppose the new 5th runway, fearing it will mean more pollution and more noise. But some city officials are already looking beyond the 4-year project, predicting Hartsfield could even need a 6th runway by 2005.
And have always introduced myself Hartsfield like the airport.
Dale Hartsfield, a distant relative of the late mayor, didn't want that introduction hyphenated.
You know, once you honor somebody with something, you put their name on it. To go back and to take their name off of it or to hyphenate it kind of does away with that honor a little bit.
But Hartsfield says his family can live with Mayor Franklin's compromise.
It has a very proud name in William Hartsfield, and it will have an equally proud name in Hartsfield-Jackson.
First of all,
Jackson's widow, Valerie, who told the commission her husband wanted his name on the airport, declined comment. But the commission co-chairs say she supports the compromise, and she's set a meeting later this week with City Councilman Derek Bozeman, who in turn pledges this issue will not split the city.
We're going to do something that make all of Atlanta proud, and as one individual, I would have supported renaming the airport completely.
Well, certainly at this point, it looks like it'll be Hartsfield-Jackson. And, you know.
Will you ever call it that?
No.
There's a little historical irony in all of this. Back in 1971, when Mayor Hartsfield died, the old Board of Aldermen quickly voted to put his name on the airport. The vice mayor who presided over the board and signed off on their vote was Maynard Jackson. At Hartsfield Airport, Dennis O'Hare, 11 Alive News.
Few in here that knew Hartsfield. I knew William D. Hartsfield a lot.
To my wife's right is Charlie Hartsfield. Charlie work, I believe, in my friends.
Precinct police station, but it was provided, space was provided for them in Butler Street YMCA. He was a good mayor, and I think he made significant contributions. I think Maynard was a good mayor and also made significant contributions. It came in different eras. I would hope that we, the council, would certainly look at everything that it will.
The airport already has a name. Why change it? Plain and simple, Mayor Hartsfield fathered aviation in Atlanta. It is thus appropriate that the airport bear his name. Once someone is honored for their accomplishments, that honor should remain, I think, for at least a century. The airport has been called Hartsfield for only 32 years.
Surrounded by family members, Dale Hartsfield meets one last time with some city council members before their called meeting to get his point across. The family wants the airport's name to remain Hartsfield, and they are opposed to a hyphenated name adding Maynard Jackson's name. Hartsfield says Jackson certainly deserves an honor of his own, but to add Jackson's name to the airport would water down the honor for both men.
If the white community wanted to add a white man's name to a black public figure's honor, that would be unacceptable. So how is it accepted that the black community could add a black man's name to a white man's honor?
And it's only befitting
that we honor.
Meantime, hours later at today's City Council meeting, members listened to more public comments regarding the name change issue. But reaction was especially strong at the suggestion that in exchange for white council members' support of a name change, black council members will support earlier bar closings in places like Buckhead from 4 a.m. to 2 a.m. Nightclub owner Michael Krongold says that idea would kill his business.
Start closing us at 2 a.m., the bars are going to start dropping like flies. I mean, restaurants do their business up until 11 or 12. Atlanta is a late night town, always has been. I don't know if it always will be, but it'll drastically reduce our bottom line.
It appears now a majority of council members favor Mayor Shirley Franklin's proposal to add Jackson's name to the airport, making it the Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Late last week, Jackson's widow, Valerie, indicated she would support the shared name.
Happy to see you. Shirley Franklin.
Shirley, Dale Hartsfield.
Mayor Franklin rearranged her schedule to meet 5 Hartsfield family members. Family spokesman Dale Hartsfield had to rearrange some earlier statements. Monday, he'd told 11 Alive News the family could live reluctantly with a hyphenated airport name.
As after talking with the family, they got on me for saying that.
As we go on, we honor with new memorials, but we keep what we already have.
They talked with the mayor for over an hour without agreement.
I don't think it's completely a dead horse yet, but her position is pretty strong, and she has some very valid points, I will admit that.
Also not changing their minds, 5 council members who want Jackson International Airport.
History does not stand in place. History moves on.
But some key council members say they haven't yet made up their minds on how they'll vote when the Advisory Commission's recommendations come before them on October 6th. Among the uncommitted, the chairman of the Transportation Committee, which oversees the airport.
The one thing that I have not been able to get to was a total name change, because the moment you change one person's name from a facility, it becomes comfortable and acceptable to do it with everybody's name.
But another family may yet influence all this. Mayor Jackson's widow, Valerie, who has not commented on the compromise, meets next week with Councilman Derek Bozeman.
And I'm going to be guided in large part about what this family tells me to do. I never will get ahead of the family on this issue.
The Hartsfields say they'd love to meet with the Jacksons. Dennis O'Hare, 11 Alive News. Dale, how are you? Good to see you.
Hard to achieve. Today, more than ever, I am proud to be an Atlantan.
Valerie Jackson was all smiles after the council voted 12-2 in favor of renaming the airport Hartsfield-Jackson in honor of her late husband who passed away in June.
Because this proves that Atlanta is living by the philosophy of inclusion, which is what Maynard worked so hard to achieve.
Not as thrilled was Dale Hartsfield, who'd asked that only the new international terminal be named for Jackson.
Well, it was certainly not what we originally wanted. It's what the city council decided was best.
Hartsfield told the council the 2 mayors shouldn't have to share the airport honor.
I believe the hyphen waters down the honor for both men, and that's unfortunate.
But most others who spoke endorsed the Hartsfield-Jackson name, with statues of both on display at the airport.
I think it would go a long way toward living the ideals both men lived and died for.
Thank you.
Proving Atlanta is a city too busy to hate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And even Hartsfield says, while the name change isn't what his family wanted, they can live with it.
It's something that maybe, I hope, can bring the city of Atlanta together, and hopefully it can. I think it can.